Queen of Putrescence.
That'll do.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, we're over on time.
Okay, cool.
Do you want to start us off, Brittany?
Yes. Okay, so thanks for waiting. I know we're scant today. They really overestimated people being able to get up this early.
They thought it'd be a lot
Putting
more
us in this
popular,
room.
but it's okay. You're here and you're important.
So, welcome to last day of con. We're glad that you survived. We are Lost Tribes Gaming. We're just a gaming group of friends. We play 5 games currently. We're always changing it up every now and then. So, but currently we play Vampire the Masquerade, Street Fighter, Cyberpunk 2020, Marvel Superheroes, and Star Wars. And we stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/LostTribesGaming. We're also on YouTube and Facebook, so you can find us there. My name's Brittany. I'm moderating today. Let's go down the line and introduce ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, right ahead.
Yeah.
My name's Rachel. I don't make my own games, but I do participate in a lot of those homebrew games. Currently, my main games that I play are Vampire the Masquerade, Street Fighter, and D&D currently. So I have been playing since high school, year 2000-ish, and still love it.
My name is Jerome. I'm the head storyteller and creator of Lost Tribes Gaming. I have been doing this for about 34 years, roughly. Like many of you, like when if you started with D&D, you saw the recommended age was like 12 to 13. It's like, oh my goodness, this is something I can do. What is this? What are these dice? So yeah, I started with that. Of course, I run all the games that we play, and of course I help organize this stuff for the panels and whatever have you. Before we go any further though too, I wanted to let you guys know for world building stuff, because that's what this panel is about, I have put up a bunch of links here, so if somebody wants to come forward and you want to take a snapshot with your phone, there are a bunch of, there's like generators there for like names or dungeons.
We can talk about that more when we...
Yeah, and then there's stuff on there for worlds, not only just fantasy, but I try to get some sci-fi stuff on there too, so try to broaden the horizon. So that there's a resource for you. And of course we have some swag, some buttons, pins, and keychains. If anybody would like some, free to take, please do. But yeah, I think that's all. So, go ahead.
I'm John Parent. I've been gaming the longest in our group since '81, 45 years I think it is. So I was a player for D&D back then, and then dabbled a little bit as a dungeon master. I play currently in the vampire game, and I just started with a Star Wars game. I run 3 D&D groups, and I cheat. I take a module that was written back in the 80s, and I use that same module for all 3 groups because they don't interact. And with the world building, I add more to that, more depth to it, so that you can take that format and add to it. We'll talk a little bit about that as we get to it. So making things your own, and so like you don't always have to start from scratch. It's fun, but yeah, that's why we're here today.
I guess I didn't really talk much about myself, which is just fine. But
You're Brittany.
I'm Brittany. I play. I started playing with these guys when we started about 2018, and I mean I dabbled before that, but then I kind of fell headlong. And I'm currently playing in the vampire game, Star Wars, Marvel Superheroes, and the Cyberpunk game. So everything but Street Fighter. And
It's only a matter of time.
Well, who else would give you those free rerolls?
That's true. They have come in handy.
So our panel today is a little bit different. We don't want to just talk at you. We want to talk about what you want to talk about. So hopefully you came with something that you're working on that you would like to kind of workshop. If not, or if you want to kind of talk about some stuff with us first, and then you can offer up problems that you're working with or whatever. We have some notes that we can kind of go from, but so just by way of intro, obviously you can use a module when you're gaming, or you can build your own world, build your own campaign, all of that stuff. Gaming is very customizable. It's all about you and what you and your friends want to do. So there's a lot of opportunity to make a bunch of cool stuff up, and we would like to help you do that. So does anybody want to get us started with something that you're working on that you'd like some advice on?
Or even questions about game modes that you might be involved. You don't have to be the ST. You could be, involved in a custom game. Right, Grandpa?
I'm going to start with something horrible. I'm writing a system already.
Okay.
And I've been writing it for a few years.
All right.
And it breaks down into 5 different genres. So
Okay.
it allows us to play between all of those. The characters you pick up out of here can drop into any of the other formats that are being played. Mechanics of it is, who does most of your mechanics?
So you need help with the mechanics of your game?
I have mechanics. I'm just trying to, fine tune. I keep feeling that I'm missing something in there. I'm not sure what I'm missing, and that's why I don't see
Okay.
it.
So what are your, I know we talked a little bit before the panel started, so I know your experience is Dungeons & Dragons, a bunch of it. What are you kind of basing the system off of? Like, is it a D10, D20?
No, I'm weird. So I went with just all the dice.
Okay.
Okay. I like the idea of all the dice, and so you get a set of dice. I don't the other dice being so lonely, just sitting there. You only use
Right.
once in a
I
while.
feel like that too.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went with a system
And we
that-
moved to using like a dice roller on our Discord instead of like physical dice. So now I have all these pretty shiny dice, and we don't
20
even
years worth
use
of dice
them.
in a bag that's
Yeah.
just sitting there on my desk.
So when you say you're using them all, are you familiar with Savage Worlds?
Yes.
Okay, so are you using the die like the stat, or are you
Okay.
utilizing the dice more like
Both. All right.
Okay.
The stat.
Because I found I really like that. I like it. So for those of you who don't know, like Savage Worlds, I didn't mean to interrupt. Savage Worlds is very similar to a lot of other games. You have your stat and you have your skill, but where it differs, a lot of games like D&D included will have you'll have a number that you like as you put points to it. Then it's like it's a 5, it's a 6, it's a whatever. You're actually adding a die to the skill or the trait. So you're going to start off at a D4, and you have to try and hit like a certain target number. Obviously, that number doesn't tend to change the target number you're trying to hit, so it gets easier the higher your die is. So if you have a D12 for your strength instead of a D4, that's how you magnify how strong you are. That sort of thing. So I kind of like that because then, like you're pointing out, you get more use out of like your dice.
It's kind of
so
like
is
how
it,
the
are you
Firefly
going
game
that
is.
route then?
I went that route already, and like I said, with the design, character stat or tribute, as we call it, strength, whatever we call it, blah, they play into, or they go into, like for your generation of, like if you're, like for a saving throw or something.
Okay.
Or something
Can you
they-
guys hear him okay?
Check?
Okay.
Okay, good thing there's a small crowd.
I mean, if you're going like, let's say that you have, the higher your dexterity is, when your value, like every 10s is what it is. So every 10 points you get another die to add to your roll.
Okay.
So if you have like a 30, which is a really high, really high dexterity in the game, you would have 3 die 10, and you get what we call a bonus that goes with it. Each die
Okay.
gives you so many points. So to make that, it's easier for you to make a lower or a medium or an high.
Right.
Lower,
Yeah, I
lower.
see what you're saying.
So we did that so that it adjusts, and it also fluctuates and allows the player to display their capability who has that higher stat. What's the difference between somebody who has a low dexterity versus somebody who has a high dexterity?
Okay.
It kind of defines that a lot better. That's what we found. So that is kind of like how our whole system is built. All the stats are like that.
Okay.
We have a QV version of it, which means it's the simplest version. So
Okay.
you don't have to do all the stats.
Mhm.
We have one stat basically based off your aptitude. And that's for the easiest simple version. As you get more complex, you can add in the other ones.
Okay.
And just go to that for more inspiration. You have more dynamic plays, we call that.
It's kind of like how Star Wars and D&D does it, you know, like with the, here's your main stat, with the secondary ability that's attached to it.
Yeah.
So
I
where
mean,
were
chaos
you
is
stuck
something
at?
to with that.
Yeah. So what were you stuck at? What were you looking at?
I feel I'm missing something, and I'm not sure what I'm missing. I mean, I know that's a big question.
Yeah, the idea behind that is actually good, because obviously you're giving yourself a range, because you said you're making it multi-genre, so you're actually
Yes.
working on a game system, not a world, which would accommodate. So I guess the first thing you're going to need to decide is where's your baseline, where is average human skill fall?
That's it.
Yeah, and then from there, you need to, I think you'll probably want to define where it becomes superhuman. So kind of, you might want to take some tips from, since you mentioned Chaosium.
I should say that's already defined too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they can't copyright the system, they can copyright the genre and whatnot, so I'm not saying yank directly from it, but there are ideas that you can pull from there, especially games like the old Silver Age Sentinels is another one that handles that, TriStat, although not quite to the scope that you're doing.
I mean, the BRP, I've read some of the BRP, that's the basic role-playing thing.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
their book that they put out recently.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I read the BRP, read their magic system, read their combat, read their superpowers, because it goes regular, heroic, epic, and super. So I read the rules for those. They're kind of like ours, but they're not as detailed as some of the other portions.
Gotcha.
Like good system, it's pretty solid mathematically and everything.
So I guess that's probably where you're gonna run into the problem of, because you are making a multi-genre game system, and you need a game system, you need your core rules to accommodate all that. So you may want to put some sort of limitations per world or whatnot, so that way they don't go beyond a certain scope, right? Like you don't want somebody who could potentially do something super heroic if it's supposed to be, a pulp, 1920 noir.
So that it wouldn't fit the genre.
Right, that wouldn't really fit, unless that's what you're going for, like City of Mist, right? It has that kind of pulp noir sort of thing, but it has super heroics in it. So I guess that's where you're going to have to kind of decide, and that may be the first thing you want to tackle. Is maybe not necessarily make it a universal system, make it specific to a system you want to play the most, and then once you got that play tested, that's where you start breaking off and going, okay, so now I have a comfortable understanding of where is this going to work for this genre. What do I think I could do to add on to it to then make it super heroic, or make it sci-fi, or make it fantasy or whatnot, and take it that way. And then next thing you know, now you've got your full core system that you can operate with. And then when you decide, like at that point, it wouldn't be a module. Think of it like a DLC, like a special booklet that you go with and say, okay, well, now you want to play this? Boom, here you go. Here's the additive rules to add to this, and that's where you go from there. Kind of like, although it doesn't really work all that well, Rifts and Mega Damage.
Yes.
They have something there for it, obviously. But if you've ever played any of those Palladium systems, as soon as you get to the Mega Damage component, it's way off. It's like you went from, okay, pistol shootout, guys with handguns, probably can do something to a superhero, maybe, maybe not. It's on the low end, but you have a chance. Now you jump over to Rifts, all these guys become mega damage. Your standard guns just, everybody is just bang, 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 and bouncing off like Superman, and yeah, so that's probably your just in my opinion, me kind of hearing about what you're talking about, it's probably what you run into. You run into that dynamic, and there may be a part of you going like, you already know that's what you're pushed up against, that system break that's not fitting, and that's probably where I think where the challenge is. So maybe focus on the one first, and then branch out from there. A little bit more like a White Wolf method. Like back in the day, they had kind of a core rule system, and they fleshed it out a little bit per genre they wanted to from there. That doesn't necessarily cross over all that well. I think they did a better job with it in their Chronicles of Darkness, because they were able to pay more attention to what worked and what didn't work.
Right.
So maybe take that approach for your game system. That might work.
I love White Wolf, the way it goes from genre, mage, changes, and so forth. And I'm not familiar with Rift, but I can say with White Wolf, one of the things that I would give you a caution on is sometimes they force the system to work.
Right.
It's just, so you've got to be careful because as a player and as a storyteller with that system, it's clear that it was just forced, or sometimes it almost seems like an afterthought. They put something in, so you put a lot of thought into it, so you want to make sure that when you're looking at all the systems, does it all work across? Like the example you're talking about with the guns, I could see that being broken, and there's times where within White Wolves that you're like, why doesn't that work? It's like, why is it working that way? So when you're setting a system up, that's just a caution. It's just like, because it's the key thing to any of this is that it's supposed to be fun.
Right.
So like, if the rules are written and it's not, it's just rules for rules' sake. Like when we were talking about GURPS, the math that was involved in that was just crazy. But it's because they wanted to make sure that it was really accurate number-wise. It just wasn't fun, So that's one of you want people to want to play the game, So if it's not fun or if it feels forced or you kind of loses it at that point. So that's my.
So did that help answer your question, sort of, kind of?
Yeah.
Cool.
I probably should have placed it under question or something.
No. I was just, I just want to make
I
sure.
was like, just so vague. I'm missing something. What am I missing?
Yeah.
What the hell do you have? No, just like I said, we have 5 genres that I've been writing for. The first one is, we call it Terraform. Terraform is space. It's a futuristic game. And our second property is called Thirst. That's modern day horror.
Okay.
And then the third one we're writing for is there's Primordial Age, which is sword and sorcery, and then we have the Apocalypse, which is different because when we were writing it, it was the system is made so you can play different types of apocalypses.
Yeah,
You
okay.
get zombie apocalypse.
Oh, that's kind of a fun idea.
Yeah. So that one it's got a variety to it just in
Okay.
itself.
Yeah.
And the last one is nightmarish horror of supers.
Gotcha.
So that one is just boom, 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 boom. So
You know what else you might want to take some tips from?
It does sound pretty cool.
Just hearing the worlds that you're delving into. Are you familiar with? You probably are, but Eden Systems.
I think I've heard of them, but don't think
So Eden Systems, I think they're out of print, but I think you can also still find them on Drive-Thru RPG. They went wild for a while, but some of their core systems were All Flesh Must Be Eaten.
All Flesh Must Be Eaten.
Yep, which is one of the big ones. That's the Zombie Apocalypse, which that one had, you could do Kung Fu Zombie Apocalypse, you could do Western Zombie Apocalypse, you could do Standard Zombie Apocalypse, you could do Fantasy Zombie Apocalypse, like Zombicide, if you guys are familiar with that board game. Then they came out with Witchcraft, which was their Wiccan, magician, magic sort of supplement. They came out with Armageddon, which was their apocalyptic one, which that kind of had like some superpower related stuff in it. What else they come out with? had another one that was around that same vein, and then they started going wild with licensed properties. So they ended up getting like Buffy and Angel. They ended up getting, I want to say they did Leverage, the TV show at some point, or whatnot.
Okay,
Like they really started going wild with some of the licensed property. But the point I'm making here is that they created a system that works in the same method it sounds like you're trying to go in with the different genres. Because they even had some rules that said, okay, well, here is kind of how you might want to mix and match these if you want to create that. So maybe if you get the chance, check out some of their core rules and see how they tackle that. You know,
I think it's their book a couple of years back, I think, when I started doing more of that.
Gotcha,
And
yeah.
that's when I said, because I play a lot of games, so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what did I really like about this game? What did I really like about
Right.
this game?
Yeah.
What could they have done better in here? And how can I improve that
Right.
by doing something like whatever?
Yeah.
And then how much is too much? You know, when you
Right,
reach a
exactly.
certain
Yeah.
point, I think, I don't know. That's what like I said, we're in editing for the actual first book
Okay.
right now. And they weren't editing for the first book.
Well, cool. Awesome. Well,
I want you to come back and tell us next year how things are going with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
so we
really
can pick
trying
it up
to
and
get
play
something
it.
into print before the end of this year.
Yeah, or find us on Facebook or something. Let us know how it
Keep
turned
us
out.
posted.
You guys mostly in the valley?
Oh yeah.
Most
all
of
us
us.
here. All of
I
us here
mean,
are local.
I live less than 5 miles away. I'm good.
We are all local, but not all of our players are local.
Yeah. Some of our players are remote, but I mean, so it's really neither here nor there. So, well, cool. Thank you. So, did anybody else have anything like, not necessarily game system, but I mean, even world building that you might be a part of? We'll start down here. Try and work our way back.
So I'm more of a player
Sure.
than a DM, and I've mostly played 5e. My
Okay.
group is getting into Pathfinder,
Oh.
The Witcher, and Doom.
Ooh, okay.
But we've been playing 5e for years, and so we play. Right now, our campaign is in Wild now, and I play. So I was.
So you're playing Matt Mercer's world in 5e.
Yes,
Cool,
but
okay.
we aren't playing his story.
Right, no, yeah, I get
But
you.
it's world.
But you picked up the supplement and you're doing your own stuff. Cool,
Yeah,
I get it.
and my DM, he's great at making it to us. And
Yeah.
building the story around our characters and then like including our background. So I was like a merman, and I was a paladin warlock. Played through like the first like arc of our campaign, and the story arc of my character, I had a cursed item, and so I acted evil, but I really wanted to be good. And then I ended up killing the god who was corrupting me with the help of another god. But then I had to step in and take the place. So then I had a new character, and
okay.
my story was that my character, who's now a god, bestowed a gift upon the party in the form of a warforged. And I was a warforged barbarian, but I wasn't enjoying it, so I went to wizard. So now I'm a warforged wizard. We pulled from a deck of many things, and I got the throne card. So I have a castle somewhere in the world waiting for me and inhabited by monsters. And then my DMs asked me, he's like, hey, where do you want your character to go? And because I don't really have any backstory, I don't really have anything, so I don't
Gotcha.
know where to take my character, and he doesn't know how to include my character in a lot of things other than you're following around the party.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, so me personally, this isn't anything against you or your storyteller, but I always try to come up with something for my character, even if it's just the initial personality. That usually helps me tackle, okay, well then where did he come from? Why is he like this? And then that usually kind of spins out from there. Since you're already that far into the game, that's something you might want to focus on first. Get your backstory done, so that way you might actually be more ready to answer, okay, where do you want to go from there? Because then you could develop, okay, well, this is important to him because it's happened in his backstory. So maybe this castle then winds up being tied to that. The deck of many things did something along the lines of, maybe the magic tied into something, a longing that you had in you or something. And it's like, in its own kind of corruptible sense, it's trying to put you in peril, by going to do this thing. But you really want to do it anyways because maybe it's important to that region or something. You're like, okay, well, darn it, let's go do this thing, you know. So, and you could turn that into your own heroic arc, but focus more, take some time and maybe come up with a couple of things that that's important to your Warforged as a backstory, and that might help, later on for the future stuff.
Look at just use Google. Honestly, look at what other people have done, because you can look at see where because if you're stuck on I'm lost on how to make my backstory where he's coming from. So if you look at other stories, or just search up Warforged stories or what then you can I like that. Oh. Robert, did you want to add on to what we were talking about, or?
Yeah. So if you kind of got an unknown background for your story, and you've drawn from this deck of many things, and you have this castle somewhere full of monsters, what if it's full of other Warforged, and your god character just kind of plucked one of the Warforged from the castle?
Yeah.
And that could tie into the backstories and those kinds of things, and then you guys are going to go fight this castle full of golems or automatons, whatever you want to call them, in the world, and then that could make it make sense.
Or maybe they're all slaves, and he plucked you out specifically because it's a bias against the created.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warforged or...
So the backstory is he plucked me, because we were in the astral plane fighting this god, and he plucked me out of the stars, and so it's a character with a bunch of stars, and our story arc is we really relied on each other. We all came from different backgrounds and learned how to be a party, and so friends, and we kind of joke friendship is magic, and so I named my character Twilight Sparkle because the universe swirls within them and stuff. But I really like that edit. Thank you.
Cool. And did you want to add to that in the back flag shirt?
I was going to ask, was your Warforged created in the time when it was deactivated and it came back to life? Or is it someone who just recently was created and brought to life?
Yeah, that's another good question to ask.
And I was thinking of the god wiped her memory, and so I don't know anything, but then I could learn, or the memory start recovering?
Yeah, that would be something I think would be really cool, is if it already had a previous life, and then as you continue to level up, your memories can come back.
That's a cool idea.
Or you have trigger events.
Yeah,
Something could happen randomly, and you're
events.
just all of a sudden have something use
And your
have a
DM
flash
can
in
use
your
that
head.
too.
Yeah,
If you
talk about that and figure that out.
triggering events, that's
the
something that-
Revan treatment from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Something like that would be good. Gentlemen, the picture, do you have a new question, or do you want to add on?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll get you right after.
Princess
so-
Buttercup has a
Princess
comment.
Buttercup.
If you're going with the route of recovering some memories, what you could also do or talk to your DM about is that whenever you face a major perils in battle and have to reboot per se, or you could find different things, either if you go to the castle, those memory chips for actual computers, get them plugged in and then you recover the memories.
Oh, that's cool.
Just like with actual
Like little
hardware,
clues
you're
or-
not going to recover it like the mind does for humans or other creatures like that. So finding even that random bookcase and you're like, oh, there's a little chip there. I'm curious. Oh shoot!
Right.
That could also be in play.
Yeah. Or if you want to just be fun, you could kind of mirroring all that. You could start playing them off 51st Dates.
Oh yeah.
and now your Warforged has to keep this tome. It's and everybody sits down with you. You don't have to play it out, obviously, but play it out the first time, right? And then
If you're
from there on
watching this
out,
message, you have
you're
forgotten
making a
once again.
Warforged. Yeah, and it's and don't forget, we tackled this dungeon. We had a lot of fun. This is where you met this guy from, and
So every
picture
time,
of him doing this.
every time
No,
the party
a
takes a
little
long
shady.
rest, you're reading your book.
Yeah, exactly. So catch you back up.
And it is I do play a wizard, so I have a spell book.
Right, there you go, yeah.
And
Right,
You
so
have a
some
spell book and
fun
you have a
notes.
memory book.
He's doing the Caleb thing where he has the two
Yeah.
posters of books.
Yeah.
And then
There's this name of a bag of holding just to carry. It's I got more memories. Dang it! I was more chips, more books.
I really like the chip idea because I did base him off of Baymax because he's
Oh,
helpful.
beautiful.
And then also Eve from Wall-E. And so he's a mixture of the two. But Baymax has the chip thing.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay, so and then gentlemen, the picture.
Yeah.
So what you have?
just to preface, I was like a few minutes late. I apologize.
Oh, you were fine.
It's all good.
Perfect. But my group, we've recently taken our first kind of baby steps out of 5e.
Okay. What game system?
We tried a few. We tried Guilty Where You Didn't Like It, and then we tried Red Markets, which is something that they really liked. But I think that overall the group, they really like the idea of like this empowerment. Red Markets is like a system dedicated to like just I think a good example of this that they really love is buying a roll, which is like everything in your inventory has a certain amount of like uses or charges, and every time you roll related to that use, whether it be like a weapon or like a medicine or something, you literally lose a charge sheet and make the roll and run out of charge and continue to roll and use again. And they really like this idea of like you have to go back, you have to spend your money, you have to spend a lot of your quest rewards on just like continuing to go, and they like this idea of like, I mean, I don't want to call them masochists by any stretch of the imagination.
It's a grind,
but
yeah.
But they like this. They like something that takes away their rewards. But they do want to return to like a fantasy setting. And additionally, they found the kind of, I guess they didn't want a very generic like hero's journey. They just didn't want to do it again. We've been doing it for years.
Right. Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, just hit us with something weird. And the thing that we came across at that point, we've been watching like, things like Blue Lock and stuff like that. We really liked adding the idea of like sports, of having it be a blood sport, like Blood Bowl or something like that.
Right.
So I looked up like any online systems like a Drive RPG that's similar, like maybe basketball or soccer or anything like that. And I may not be good at Google Food, but I'm not found a lot of source material that I could draw inspiration from outside systems.
Okay, so it's good that I watch other programs. There is, and I cannot remember the name of it, I apologize. However, I can tell you how you can find it, and it's one of their best episodes. If you're trying to go the game route, there's these guys that got out there and they had a wrestling version of Dungeons and Dragons. And everybody would cut promos on the bad guys. It was a fight league. And if you look it up, Freddie Prinze Jr. Joins them for their season finale. And he plays an owlbear that is utterly disgusted because he was cursed with understanding common. And he's part of the Independence League, right? He's like a CM Punk type character.
An owlbear in a wrestling league?
Yes, in a wrestling, and it was, if you're trying to tackle that, like, it was hilarious, it was funny, they developed, team tactics. It basically was like, a tag team or whatever have you, and they wrestled for the belts. So now I know I'm talking about 5e, but you could probably do something along those lines if you want to do that, and if you're familiar enough with pro wrestling, even if you want to get your inner Macho Man on, for a couple games, I'm sure that would, the moment you step out, and tell them you're about ready to hit them with your 5-star hoot splash from the owlbear or whatever have you, I mean, that's what it was because if you guys don't know, Freddie Prinze Jr. actually wrote for WWE for a little bit. He's a big pro wrestling guy, so for him to join that game, he was giving them some insider knowledge, and so he understood, like he was throwing things down like they were getting booed by the crowd, even though they were baby faces, and he's like, oh, this is Philadelphia, we got a heel crowd here, they're hating on us. So it just, if you can tap into something that the other players really like for example, if they're all like hockey fans or something, take a game system they're probably familiar with and see if you can modify it a little bit to do something like that. Like Blood Bowl, for example, you don't have to do an exact ripoff, but if you know enough about the game, actually the pro game, you're trying to emulate a little bit, and then enough about the RPG that you're trying to do, you're going to eventually start finding ways to make that stick. And you've already mentioned Blood Bowl. That would be probably a good template to go off of. How they have the intermix of fantasy races and how they do this or X, Y, Z. You're already going to start finding, in your own mind, okay, well, goblins typically aren't strong, but they're probably fast and sneaky. That's going to play a factor here for whatever pro game you end up doing. So once you get it hammered down to what you want to do first, I think a lot of it's going to start coming to you from there. But that's a fantastic idea. But if you want to look up, even if it's just for a laugh, Freddie Prinze Jr., Dungeons and Dragons, and I really wish I could remember the name of it. It wasn't Hyper RPG, but at least I don't think. But if you look that up, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Dungeons and Dragons, and maybe Owlbear or something on YouTube, because they've got all their other episodes out there. Okay? You'll probably find it. It's a hoot. So, in the back, black shirt.
If you had more.
Oh, did you have more? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just kind of thinking on this. One mechanic that I found kind of difficult to like perfectly remember would be the like mechanic behind like ball possession, because like say you're playing soccer, even if you're occupying the same space like physically, what person has possession of the ball, that gives them sort of credence over what to do.
Right.
I feel like it's very limiting within the system of 5e. For example, if I say, oh well, kicking the ball or passing, that's a bonus action. Well, all of a sudden the barbarian can't rage and attack in the same turn, and that's like a huge like, oh well, what's going on here now? So obviously the first thing that came to mind was like, oh well, I just have a new ball point for like it's just there with reaction and action points and stuff like that. But that didn't seem right either. It just seemed like, well, now the ball is disconnected from the game, but there's a think about like, oh, do I actually rage here, or do I keep ball possession to like play around it? And I found that kind of really interesting. I just wonder if there's a way to pursue it without, just saying it's actually not interlocked with combat whatsoever.
I mean, you still could, because that's where your drama is going to come from with it. For example, if you know anything about football, Jerome Bettis, the bus from Pittsburgh, he was a nightmare to tackle. He would just steamroll through players. And there's been some other guys like Emmitt Smith. I don't think quite as strong, but super elusive. And just it made it incredibly difficult. So I mean, you can start doing certain things like that, contested goals, for strikes, for example, or develop a specific skill for forced fumbles for people who are, your defensive linemen or your linebackers designated. You could do something like that. Same thing for people who are like your defensive backs and safeties. Develop, like an interception. But what I would do there is look up some, not like Madden per se, but like in that same vein, other football games, and look at what they're using as the dynamic specific to that particular position, and then adopt that as a skill and tie that into dexterity or strength, more than likely, or intelligence. Obviously, like if you're a passer. Or reading the play would be another, intelligence. So when you start getting up some of those dynamics, I think you'll probably, a lot of that will start fleshing itself out, inherently. Yeah, go for it.
Maybe you might want to consider looking at football, soccer rules, and things like that. And know that games that are played like that, basketball, things like that. When players in the same hex with another player, that ball is threatened. So passing or doing anything else like that for the person that has possession is at minuses already, because they have to get it past the capability of the other person.
The disadvantage.
Yeah, so, and the more that they're trying to break the tackle or get past, the greater the difficulty increased.
Maintaining possession might be a bonus, but passing or doing something else like that outside of your thing becomes a dangerous thing, kind of in that aspect.
Yeah.
So just
Oh, no problem. And so, gentleman in the back with the hat.
A little bit of backstory. I am DMing 2 different campaigns on 2 different Homebrew worlds with 8 different continents on each one, with 8 players in each group.
Nice.
Oh boy.
So
Did you roll the dice to create the world?
I'm sorry?
Did you roll the dice and just create the world around the...
No, I actually can't do it.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool. So I have 16 different players for 2 different campaigns. That's
a lot.
I'm getting fitted for a straight jacket later.
Do you sleep?
No, I don't. I do have a lot of dark circles under my eyes. My biggest thing is I'm definitely quickly running out of steam of ideas, how to bring characters together, all this kind of stuff. I think I'm definitely overworking myself. I'm trying to come up with everything all at once. But at the same time, like, is there anywhere that you guys know of that is a very good reference point for finding ideas to either go directly off of or?
Yep.
That's
we,
what
we have.
I will take
Okay.
this after we're done. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
What I would also do, so let me ask real quick, are both sets of players, are they supposed to be, are they supposed to be part of the same game or are they separate games?
So, on that, they're technically separate because it's two different worlds.
Right.
But they all want to play in campaigns.
Okay.
We're doing a bunch of different campaigns. And what I want to do is I want to take Group A with World A and then Group B with World B. And when they do the Evil campaign, I want to take Group A, put them on World B, and Group B put them on World A. And
I see what you're saying.
basically, once that the Evil campaign is over, which is the main goal is to conquer the continent that they're going to be on, I kind of want them to then, at the end of all of it, the evil group is going to go to whatever continent they want to, and the heroes from that continent are going to try and help them. So then I will have an 8-on-8 brawl, which I think is going to be really cool. And if the evil guys win, they'll move on to the next continent. And
Right.
again, if the good guys win, that's it. They conquered, they stopped them, and we might be able to do another campaign because that continent is now completely evil. So.
That sounds cool.
Right.
But yeah, so they don't interact until that.
Gotcha. So logistically, so we were actually just kind of talking about this with this gentleman when he first came in. One of the things you're probably going to run into since you have so many people is they may think it's cool now, they may not think it's cool when they start going head to head. Player versus player is very, very tricky because you put yourself in a unique situation where you got one group over here, and some people may think that they're the main character of the story, or their group is the main character of the story, and vice versa. And when they wind up clashing, that's going to be hard to recover.
Do they know about the
somebody's
other
probably
players
gonna
in the
lose.
other games?
They know about them. They've all met. They all know each other. So we are trying to go live on Twitch, YouTube, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. So we've all had to meet for legal meetings and stuff like that. Usually we're all under the same principles. I've also been playing with all these guys for the last 4 years now.
Okay.
So we do have a really well-established relationship in the fact that no one tries to get the main character syndrome. Nobody tries to railroad the campaign or anything like that. So we do have a very good working relationship in that regard. But still people tend to the barbarian. I walk right into the demon's temple. No, don't do that.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like anytime, that is a completely new variable. Anytime that you have one player, let alone an entire group, wind up clashing, it's going to put a stress on the rules. It's going to put a stress on personal relationships out of character. Even if they don't think it, like it's going to happen. Like something could happen, and they really, they get really into it, and something doesn't go their way. So these are all things you're going to have to worry about and tackle. My advice for something like that initially would be let them tackle the fruits of their labor in the other world. Kind of like treat it like not a first-person shooter, but a real-time simulator. But that real-time simulator was the other group. So now they're encountering the defenses and the allies and whatnot that they made up. So they're not necessarily directly involved. I would highly suggest doing that to start. That way, they're not so invested initially, and if certain things start going a certain way for another, then they can start going like, oh, well, okay, I get it. Maybe we didn't, do that. So basically what I'm getting at is you're giving themselves a chance to build themselves up to either side without directly impacting one of the other groups, so you potentially avoid hurt feelings somewhere along the way. And especially if you go online on like Twitch or whatnot, and you end up having like this big clash, the last thing you want are people arguing with you or upset or whatnot online. It's a huge drag, and it makes for not a fun experience. And obviously with YouTube or Twitch, they can clip it And so if something particularly saucy comes out, they can use it to start rubbing it in somebody's face. Now, obviously, I'm being a little presumptuous with some of that, but in my years of experience in dealing with even people that I felt were really good friends, I've had people just all of a sudden lose it at a game over somebody else and completely, throw me off. I was like, I had no idea. Like, I would be over here talking with him, and two people over here blow up, and I'm like, whoa, where the heck did that come from? So it can happen, especially with a group of that size, and that magnitude of LARP.
LARP was huge with player versus player, especially in the vampire LARP that we used to be in. And you would get hurt feelings outside of character with that. And even though, there was, in my opinion, that was kind of, that type of game, there's an expectation that you might have a character death because of another character. But it doesn't make it any easier.
And there's some people that thrive a bit too much off of PvP. So you may want to target those guys first, and maybe have a conversation with them. This is all still coming up, but you may want to have a conversation with them. It's like, look, the idea here isn't just to frag everybody; it's to actually try to have a good game. It's not about killing everybody. That's not the ultimate goal. It's about telling a good story.
Yeah, and we do have a very good, like I said, we all have a pretty good relationship. Like I said, we've been with all these after 4 years. We've definitely had character deaths, and people handle it pretty well. I want them all to be invested in their characters, and they usually are. So when they do lose a character, it definitely is that moment of, crap. But, it is very quick. That sucks. But, I have other character ideas. I can maybe bring someone forward to you, and I say, yeah, that's great, let's do it, and we'll bring them in when we feel that we'll work out well the story. So we definitely have that relationship already. So I don't see that as being a problem. It definitely absolutely could. Like you say, you get invested in these
sometimes you just don't know, until those elements combine, and then next thing you know, you got a science experiment.
But we are definitely going to be discussing it once I do the implement of switching planets. It's going to be a little bit obvious at that point, because they're like, wait, we're not the same planet we've done in the last 4 campaigns.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit like, so then I will actually explain, so this is what's going to happen.
Right.
They'll have plenty of time to kind of get that.
You have something
Kind of
Suggestion.
to you. I love what you guys said. I like the part about what you said about you dealing with the after effects of what they've done, the repercussions. Okay, bad guys set up a hotel here, they did all this stuff here, they moved on to the next thing thinking that their stuff is secure. The good guys come through, we clean up this mess. We did this in our campaigns, quite a few of them. And we had 2 different campaigns. One group of like 8 people and one group of like 5 people that were following around behind them. And the good guys were cleaning up after what the other guys thought that they were the good guys, but they were not cleaning up the whole situation. But it kind of goes in a circle, because, hey, I thought you said you corrected it, because then the bad guys come back around and say, hey, what's all this? We got rid of all this before. And yes, you're right. The groups do want to meet head-to-head at some point. You've already had character deaths, because I was going to say just plain English. Someone's going to die.
It's inevitable.
That's what's going to happen. Will someone get hurt feelings over it? Maybe, could be, because just like you said, we like our players to be invested in the game, and they get invested in their characters for 4 years. You said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all starting a brand new campaign.
Okay.
Just finish our
After that, but
we are starting a brand new campaign. We're starting level 1. Level 20 is the goal.
A suggestion when it comes to combat?
Yeah.
Maybe you have this flat down pat. This is my way of keeping people from, like, I heard him say that, or playing, cheating, let's call it that, off of what they're doing. You send me a direct link or a direct note. You send me a direct note. When they do combat, that's how we do that. That keeps things from bleeding over. It's gonna get nasty depending on how your players play.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm sure it will, for sure.
Well, I'd also like to suggest, real quick, sorry, give yourself an out, and create an organization that maybe just is a little more slimier than both the groups.
Yeah, right.
Oh, common enemy.
So that way, if it looks like there's some tension maybe building up there, maybe you can
Send that dark force in.
Yeah, exactly.
Unify
Maybe
everybody.
Together and
That
Exactly.
And then they can fight.
If they,
Yeah, so,
Because if you have the two groups that they're against each other,
Yeah.
and then there's a bigger bad that they have to fight together at that point. You know,
Someone
so
who's
that's-
maybe manipulating both groups.
Yeah.
that's
both
the other thing I
sides
was gonna say, yeah.
you know?
When I was in the Army, I had two game nights, and they
That's
both
why we
wanted to
got
play
5
with each
minutes.
other, and it was. I mean, we had. I thought it was gonna be fist fights. I mean, it just got bad, you know. So like, you have to remember what makes the characters, the hero in the world, to be able to kill whatever they're fighting, is now going to be turned against each other at that point. So so they're used to fighting things and succeeding in the battle. And yes, there's death, but they're not used to fighting other heroes. So that's a big thing to take into mind. You know, so like, it doesn't matter how well managed the group is, how great they are. I mean, I did the mistake when I was in the Army. When I got out, I got another group, and I had all these people at once. They were attacking this, and then these three guys like, we want to be like the NPCs going. I'm like, all right, that's great. And it was horrible. How did he one-shot me? Because he was. That's all he's been
Reminds
doing
me
for
of
the past 10
Captain
minutes
America
since he's
Civil
been
War.
focusing and following you. And, you know, so the guy was all set, and now he was mad. I mean, the guy left. He just he just gets up and walks out the door, literally in real life. And I'm like, sorry, you know. So it's tough, you know. And especially 16 people. I mean, that's a lot.
And I'm really hoping that when I bring, Group A to World B, they won't be as invested because they're only playing one campaign there. Which
Yeah.
is why I'm hoping, the evil group are hoping they kind of lose so that way they're not quite as effective. And when the good group eventually beats them, whether it's like their first group that fights them or the 8th group that fights them, they'll have the capability because they'll have a cleric that can bring everybody else back. I'll kind of try to smooth it over with that. But at the same time, I'm really hoping that there won't be that huge connection to the other world because of just my campaign.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that will definitely diffuse some of the tension. But yes, I definitely see that there could be some tension.
Well, yeah, and as Rachel had kind of pointed out, and I was actually thinking along the same lines, it's your classic Avengers versus X-Men, in that sense. Both sides think that they're right, somebody's probably wrong, when in actuality maybe it was a Mandarin or Magneto or whoever got the comeuppance on them somewhere, and they didn't realize it until later. That's why I said, leave yourself an out, especially if the tensions start to fly, because if you put enough story seeds in there that can kind of go either way, then you can just introduce that, and everybody, because then you look like a genius.
Refocus.
And then everybody else goes, wait a minute, and all the heads start to turn against that one bad guy, and the bad guy's like, crap, I've been found out, and he's, Dick Dastardly trying to, wash his hands and, escape sort of thing, and now it becomes this big fight against, whatever agents of change that he had, and then when, if you end up going on that route, you could do the discovery of, wait a minute, he was behind that? Oh, he was behind that? That jerk! And then it's like, and it starts escalating, it makes them angrier because now they're finding out this guy was behind, so much more. Like, maybe the heroes liberated this place and they're all proud of it. It's like, yeah, we did a good thing, but it really wasn't the bad guys who did it, it was this jerk. And he pushed it off onto them, and they're like, okay, well, yeah, that sounds like something we would do, but we actually didn't do that thing. Why are you mad at us? Like, we did that over there, And so it could be, some finger pointing and, problematic. So it would be a way for you to still stay in character, but manipulate the situation so cooler heads could prevail, and maybe even at the end of it, even if they do clash but nobody really dies, they could have a bigger payoff, against the Thanos villain or whatnot.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
We're just about out of time, but some of us can stick around if you have extra questions.
And there's a half-hour window in between, so we're not too worried about
we can
doing
stay
that.
as long as
You had your hand
I
up?
was just going to say extra resources, because you were saying ideas. Your players, because you got 16 heads.
Yeah.
Better than one. And it's really cool as a player when I tell my DM, oh, this would be cool if it happened, and then I see it happen. I'd be like, it's neat.
Oh yeah, and I have backstories that we spend that are like 3 to 4 pages long, so I already have
Perfect.
for their, revenge or their problem solving or whatever situation might be. So I've already written stuff out for that. They're all really good at that kind of stuff, so I think great for me to be able to have that material to add into the campaign for what we can solve. But yes, I've definitely talked to them about like, hey guys, if there's something that you guys want in game, talk to me out of game so that I can plan ahead for something like that and potentially have it for you. Or you might not be able to find it based on your investigation roles.
100%.
So yeah, I've definitely talked to them about that. So yeah, appreciate that.
Sure. Sure, Pirate.
So I have a 5e based world that I'm kind of homebrewing, and it's very mythology based. So
Okay.
I like one region that's like Greek mythology, another one that's like Norse mythology.
Yep.
So obviously in that building that world, there's conflicting info between the different mythologies. How would you kind of recommend ways to smoothly incorporate those and kind of the pantheons and stuff?
That's a great question, and I would do it culturally, because that's how they're driven.
Okay.
So first define the cultures that are worshiping those particular deities, and then obviously the closer they're getting together on the continent, that's where you focus on why are there culture clashes, right? Like it could be all the way down from how they deal with their dead. The Norse send them out on ships and burn them, whereas they're supposed to have something different over here in Greek mythology, whatever have you. Obviously, Zeus is not going to be a fan of Odin, vice versa, because now they're also fighting for their worshipers. If you create that dynamic of the bigger the culture that's worshiping the deity, the more power that they have, now you've immediately got a reason to clash. But again, it could be something like we talked about there. There could be something else worse on the horizon that neither of them know about. So you don't have to keep it a total clash, but that's a good way to keep the tension.
Have you seen the old second edition deities and demigods?
The which one?
Deities and demigods?
They changed it to Legends and Lore back in the day, but it was first and second edition.
Yeah, first and second edition, it actually has all the gods and stats, and it's all like with second edition stats on there. But it's a good starting point if you're just looking at like, because when you're doing your pantheon, you want to how powerful is this? How powerful? So you could take some ideas from there and say well, that's overpowered, that's dumb, but at least have some ideas of where it's going. And it's got a lot of pantheons are in there.
A lot of them.
Like it has Native American,
Yeah.
Chinese. It's got quite a bit in there. So.
And if you're lucky to get deities and demigods, it has
The original ones.
Yeah.
Elric,
Melbourne, yeah, and Cthulhu.
Oh, nice.
Elric, yeah, the Melibonian mythos.
Yep. You won't find. I think you can get a reprint of the Legends and Lore on Dungeon Masters Guild. I think you can find that one there, but it's not going to have the two that we just mentioned. But it's going to have the others.
Is your problem in figuring out how they work together, or just building out the cultures themselves?
Kind of building up the world,
Okay.
And then seeing where players will fit in, trying to come up with what kind of conflicts they'll be facing, and an overarching campaign world and what I want to do with it. Because I don't want to just sandbox it. That never ends well. So just throw players into a world and sandbox it, and
Right.
end up killing themselves pretty much.
Now to think about it, you know what else would be beneficial to dive into? The guys behind a lot of the writing for BioWare, we're talking Dragon Age and Old Republic and whatnot, they got together when 5e was in its heyday and did something of the Dragon Lords, and it was specifically Greek mythos 5e.
Okay.
And then they turned around and they did another one, and I can't remember the name of it, but and both of these I'm almost certain are on Dungeon Masters Guild. And they did one for Norse mythology as well. I would look at those because they did a super deep dive on the culture and how to build that up. And it's also its own, I want to say, level 1 through 15 quest as well. So it's a nice, hefty book you can really sink your teeth into.
Okay. Yeah, because I also got Mythic Odyssey of Theros, the 5e book to help kind of tie in characters so that they have some.
This one's better. I'll just put it down. But yeah. But not a bad idea.
So what you could do is you could actually make that the history of this world. They already have their wars, they already have their cautions, they have their treaties now to separate the cultures. But there could also be whispers of the wars that could be coming.
Yeah.
The players have to prevent that from happening.
That's a great idea.
Because they could have existing alliances and existing things that are going on. So there's
Follow the money. I mean, it could be as simple as warring merchants at that point that are stoking it.
You can also, something that I've done before a few times, reawakening an old religion.
Okay.
Oh,
To
yeah.
subvert the power of another god.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you could have your whatever, like your 7 established, each continent has a different god, and then the new god wakes up.
Yeah.
And then all the other gods are like,
The old god's like,
what do we do with that?
Have
They were
you-
supposed to be dead. You know, it's like,
Have you
well,
read
they weren't
the-
supposed to exist.
yeah.
Have you read any David Eddings, the Bulgariad? That's kind of how this is not a game, it's just a fantasy series. That's kind of how he set up his world, is every country is like sponsored or like worships a particular god. And there's like some overarching story there, but like that might be like they have each distinct cultures and beliefs and stuff. So and they're fun books.
Oh, they're great books.
Oh, and it's Odyssey of the Dragonborn. Now I think about this person.
David Eddings, he's got several different series
The
that
Bulgariad,
build on
and
the same
there's-
one. Yeah, the Bulgariad is
There's
the
like 6
first
books, and
series.
then there's a couple takeoffs individually.
Yeah, and then the Malorian comes after that. And anyway,
So
yeah.
cool. I know we obviously ran a little bit over, which is fine. I still got like 30 minutes in between. But thank you guys all for participating. This was a lot of fun, a lot of great ideas. That's what we were hoping for. Is that
Yeah, I hope it's been a
you
little bit
guys-
helpful.
Yeah, that you guys will also participate because that's what we really wanted. To throw out ideas out there. So thank you guys again for all coming and all great ideas.
And thanks for commenting on each other's ideas.
Yes,
You've
very
got,
much so.
got some good stuff there.
Thank
If
you.
we didn't answer a question or you didn't get a chance to ask, well, let's try this game. You can reach out to us on Facebook. It's probably the easiest way to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
And then, of course, don't forget
Again,
we've got some
if
swag.
you want a picture of the links that we've compiled, also take a couple of buttons.
Oh, buttons.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Sorry.
That's good.
Don't die.
You okay?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm Prince Junior, and
I'm trying to reach out to you.
Oh, this one's a magnet.
Oh yeah, I have a couple of magnets in there. Maybe a keychain or
You
two.
just stole the magnet from me. Thank you so much. You want a magnet or a keychain? Or a keychain?
What's this?
No, I'm here.
Oh wait, I just remember what.
Do you want a keychain or a pin? I think I took the only magnet.
I think you did. Because it's just the way you are.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's very freeform. It's whatever you want to put into it. Yeah, I find so there are various like play styles. Some people really like combat. Some people are more interested in story. I find women in the gaming group that it tends to have like more of a character-centered story. I just like to have a lot of things in there.
No,
It just makes things more interesting. For me,
we're on Facebook, so
that's what I
if you have any more questions, I usually
I enjoy that aspect being
I'm always happy to.
part of the story. So,
It's
yeah.
Well, it's all through history. I mean, all those things have happened, so it's like with different gods and. Well, thank you. This was very. No, I won't have a group, but you will. I was looking up these things. I mean, what? It is.
I've done one shot before, and I'm working on the first long form campaign.
Into like something that's small, like I use like the share,
My
like
God
I
has been working on these games.
That's awesome. This is a good place to start.
The other thing is, this will be my first time writing an actual like.
I would
Usually
then I would stick with the monster manuals for those,
Sorry.
or if you
Usually I just make up a small, like my main
check Pathfinder second edition.
a one shot
Because
that
they
went
are
too
really
long,
good.
that was far
They're the
behind
ones that actually
against
push you into
God.
Nice. Starting
So they're
with fighting God, that's
not
pretty
only are
ambitious.
they
It
visual
was
stars,
for
they
first
do a
game.
great
It
job.
was 6 versions of the same character.
But they
Because I
do
joked about being able to take them on a bar fight and then it ends.
I would
Then
say
the
if
people
you
on my Discord
Yeah, my
were
parents had a
like,
habit of just
"Hey,
buying
got
the
it."
creatures.
And so I started
So, like,
doing
this one,
I was
and when she got that,
This is cool.
buying a bunch of penises, she's like, this one, and I'm like,
I think as a first time DM, just keep have a little grace with yourself, and just remember that you're all exploring this together, and just make sure that your players are cool. We're all learning how to do this at the same time, and so yeah.
there's the yeah. So I mean, if you do something like that, then
I have one who only plays
I'm with that person.
They all know exactly what they want.
But
They're like,
if
ah,
you
you're
do
just
something
something.
that at least
Are you worried that they're gonna like?
That's probably
Okay,
Shut you down.
and something like that comes out.
something. Okay, you want to be careful about like
It's gross, you know.
asking them to like help you learn, because I find some. I mean, yes, yes and no. Because I find some kinds of people, if you say, hey, I would love to have your input, they tend to
Right,
like
and that's
take over. Yeah,
size.
yeah. So like if you can kind of find that
And
balance.
then,
I don't know if I have
what
those people like
they
who
think
this
they
is
might
kind of new.
be
I
doing.
live in Nebraska.
Okay.
So there isn't exactly
You
much
came all the
make.
way for this cause.
Yeah, just for 16 seconds.
We
That was our thing.
Yeah.
tried to give it to me to
But,
run
yeah.
today.
But I mean, just in general, like if it has a special attack, and then just find a creature that's about the same size. It doesn't have to look like it, because then you can go off and find a question. Commit someone for it, and then see that stuff.
Like, I wasn't able to go
And
for
then,
a
like, say
couple
for example, like, give her an outfit, maybe it doesn't have
Yeah.
a maybe it has something you don't think it needs, just take it out. Keep everything else the same, just take it out.
What's their responsibility?
I haven't been able to
Yeah, we're gonna
ask
join
yet.
the
Mom has been trying to shut down.
No, not yet. It's on my list. Actually, I was going to start watching this.
Alright, well, I hope it works out.
Yeah.
Good luck. I think DMing for the first time can be a little
So
scary.
if people don't get that, I'm like, but when I put
But
it in there,
ultimately, you're there to have a good time together and tell a story and make some good memories. So
you guys messed up.
And you can connect with you guys
yeah, you
through
can.
this. So you don't.
It comes across you.
Silent. That too.
Are you on Facebook?
Our game, but
She's
yeah.
not on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
That's all they see us.
Yeah.
We are free
I need to
range
talk to
meat.
my mom about this
So
because
we're
I'm.
off.
She doesn't.
But,
She's being
you know,
Yeah.
Right, but she doesn't
I don't
realize
blame her.
how
Facebook can be, or social media can be really
Right.
toxic.
No, it is toxic for sure.
But it's.